Yesterday, a magnitude 7.7 earthquake ripped through the Pacific floor off Japan's northern coast. The Japan Meteorological Agency issued a warning for 10-foot tsunami waves. Towns that barely survived 2011 evacuated within minutes. And now scientists are asking a question they have been dreading for 80 years. Is the Nankai Trough next? The quake struck at 4:53 p.m. local time on April 20th. The Japan Meteorological Agency, the JMA, confirmed the magnitude at 7.7. It was felt across hundreds of kilometers. Buildings in Tokyo swayed. A CNN producer on the ground in the capital reported shaking for a full 7 minutes. The JMA issued an immediate tsunami warning for Iwate Prefecture, parts of Hokkaido, and Aomori. Waves up to 3 meters, 10 feet, were forecast to hit the coast. Port towns of Otsuchi and Kamaishi issued evacuation orders within minutes. These are names burned into Japan's memory from 2011. These communities know you don't wait for confirmation. You move. Japan accounts for nearly 20% of all major earthquakes on Earth. And right now, the government is warning that the week ahead carries an elevated risk of something far larger. The epicenter sat in the Pacific Ocean, directly off Iwate Prefecture. Depth, 20 kilometers. That matters. Shallow quakes transfer energy to the seafloor faster. They shove billions of tons of water with greater force, and that force has one place to go. Up. The JMA initially reported magnitude 7.5, then revised upward to 7.7. That revision is not small. Every 0.2 increase on the magnitude scale means roughly 2.5 times more energy released. Within minutes of the strike, the 3-meter tsunami warning was broadcast along the coast. That is 10 feet of rushing seawater. Not a wave you see coming. A wall of ocean that advances inland at highway speed. It carries cars, buildings, and debris with it. Sirens screamed from Iwate to Hokkaido. Loudspeakers in Ofunato broadcast the same warning residents heard on March 11, 2011. Here's what a 10-foot tsunami actually does. It does not crash like a beach wave. It floods like a river that never stops. Anything below 10 feet of elevation is underwater within minutes. Roads become rivers. Escape routes vanish in seconds. 2 hours after the quake, JMA confirmed actual wave heights of 80 centimeters. That is 2 feet and 7 inches, far below the warning level. But Otsuchi and Kamaishi evacuated anyway. Because the people of those towns remember what happens when you wait. But here's where it gets strange. JMA did not stop at the tsunami warning. They activated something reserved for the most serious situations, a large-scale earthquake caution advisory. This alert tells an entire region that a follow-up megaquake is now elevated. It covers the Japan Trench and the Kuril Trench, 2 of the most dangerous fault lines on the planet. The numbers are stark. Normally, the chance of a magnitude 8 or stronger hitting northern Japan in any given week is 0.1%. After Monday's quake, JMA raised that number to 1%, a 10-fold jump. In a single afternoon, 182 towns across 7 prefectures are now under elevated alert. Officials are urging residents to confirm evacuation routes right now, to restock emergency food and water today. JMA also evacuated workers from Fukushima Daiichi and Fukushima Daini nuclear plants as a precaution. Tokyo Electric Power Company confirmed no abnormalities at either site. The Onagawa and Higashidori plants in northern Japan also reported no radioactive release. That is the good news. And the number you're about to hear has shocked even Japan's most experienced seismologists. The most directly affected zone runs along Japan's Sanriku coast. Iwate, Miyagi, and Aomori prefectures took the hardest shaking. Otsuchi, Kamaishi, and Ofunato each initiated evacuations within minutes of the alert. Services on the Akita-Morioka line also halted. 200 power outages hit the broader impact zone. The JMA's advisory is not a short-term alert. 182 towns have been asked to remain on heightened alert for 7 full days. Not hours, a full week. The large-scale earthquake caution advisory is specifically designed for what comes after a large quake. It is not about the earthquake that just struck. It is about what that quake may have added to nearby fault systems. It is about pressure redistribution along the trench. JMA has now issued this advisory 3 times in 2 years. August 2024, December 2025, April 2026. Each time, Japan's emergency infrastructure goes into full activation. Each time, the public is reminded that this is not a hypothetical threat. And because what comes next involves a fault system that has scientists watching the Pacific-wide risk maps, stay with us. To understand why seismologists are alarmed, you need to know two fault systems. The first is the Japan Trench. This is where Monday's earthquake struck. It runs off Japan's northeastern coast. Here, the Pacific plate dives beneath the North American plate at roughly 8 centimeters per year. This is the same fault zone that ruptured in 2011. That earthquake measured magnitude 9.0. It killed more than 18,500 people. It triggered a nuclear disaster at Fukushima, and it generated tsunami waves that exceeded 40 meters in some locations. But there is a second fault system, and it is the one that keeps seismologists awake at night: the Nankai Trough. The Nankai Trough is an 800-kilometer undersea trench off Japan's southern coast. It is where the Philippine sea plate is slowly grinding beneath the continental plate. Monday's earthquake did not happen on the Nankai Trough. These are different fault systems. Scientists are not saying one directly triggered the other, but here is why it matters. The Japanese government has run the official models on a Nankai Trough megaquake. The projections are staggering. A magnitude 8 to 9 along the Nankai Trough could kill up to 298,000 people. It could cause up to $2 trillion in damage. That is the Japanese government's own estimate. The government's Earthquake Research Committee has set the 30-year probability of this event at 60 to 90%. Their official statement describes the current situation as one where a Nankai Trough megaquake could occur at any time. And here is the historical context that puts everything in perspective. Nankai Trough megaquakes have struck every 100 to 150 years throughout recorded history. 9 confirmed events going back to 684 CE. The last one struck in 1946. That was 80 years ago. The geological cycle says it is due. Japan's Earthquake Research Committee says it is overdue. And every major quake that shakes this island chain puts that question back at the top of every seismologist's screen. The only question is when. Here's the specific timeline officials have laid out. The elevated megaquake probability for northern Japan covers the next 7 days. That window runs through approximately April 27th. 3 developments to watch right now. First, aftershock activity along the Japan Trench. A magnitude 7.7 quake can produce aftershocks in the magnitude 6 range for days or weeks. Any significant aftershock near the coast could regenerate tsunami risk without warning. Second, JMA's live seismic data. The agency is running 24-hour monitoring of the Chieshima and Japan trenches. Anomalous movement or energy accumulation will trigger updated public advisories immediately. Watch the JMA's official bulletins. They are public and updated continuously. Third, the status of the Nankai Trough stress assessment. Japan's seismologists will now factor Monday's event into their models. Not because the fault systems are directly connected, but because any large magnitude event in the region triggers a full system review. Here is the worst case as defined by official sources. If a magnitude 8 or stronger strikes the Japan Trench or Coral Trench in the next 7 days, coastal areas of northern Japan face another full tsunami response. A magnitude 8 along this zone would generate waves substantially larger than the 80 centimeters recorded Monday. The 2011 event at magnitude 9 produced waves that exceeded 40 meters in specific locations. This is not a prediction. This is the official scenario Japan's emergency systems are currently building contingencies for. Here's the best case. The 7-day elevated window closes without a follow-up rupture. Aftershocks remain below magnitude 6. The advisory is lifted on or around April 27th. That is exactly what happened in August 2024. That is exactly what happened in December 2025. Both times the advisory expired quietly. Both times Japan exhaled. But one number has not changed. The Nankai Trough carries a 60 to 90% probability of a magnitude 8 to 9 earthquake in the next 30 years. That clock was running before Monday. It is running right now. And the Japanese government's own disaster models show that when that earthquake comes, the Pacific-wide tsunami it generates will reach the U.S. West Coast. The Pacific Tsunami Warning Center tracks this fault zone around the clock. They know exactly what a Nankai Trough megaquake looks like on their models. And what they have is not reassuring. 3 things to take away from today. A magnitude 7.7 earthquake struck off Japan's Iwate coast on April 20th, 2026. The Japan Meteorological Agency issued a 3-meter tsunami warning that was later downgraded and lifted. And JMA raised the probability of a northern Japan megaquake tenfold, from 0.1 to 1%, for the next 7 days. The Nankai Trough is a separate fault system. Monday's earthquake did not trigger it. But it is 80 years into a 100 to 150-year geological cycle. The government's own models call it a matter of when. If you want to stay ahead of every seismic and space weather event as it breaks, subscribe. I track these events in real time, and I post every time something significant happens. Coming next, what does a Nankai Trough megaquake actually look like? Scientists have run the simulations. They know which cities get hit first, how tall the waves get, and how many minutes of warning Japan and the US West Coast would have. That video is on your screen right now. If you live anywhere near the Pacific, it is the most important 12 minutes you will spend today. Stay safe.